This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Good morning and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Tuesday, May 17. In Squiz Kids Today, Tonga's volcano biggest ever. Introducing pea cycling. Sam Kerr is the GOAT and growing plants in moon dirt. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
And it's official. The underwater volcanic explosion that rocked the Pacific island of Tonga back in February and sent shockwaves around the world was the biggest eruption ever recorded with modern instruments, and at least as big as the eruption of Krakatoa in Indonesia over 100 years ago, which killed many thousands of people. Since the January 15 eruption of the undersea volcano in Tonga, about 65 kilometres off its coast, scientists have been piecing together data collected from the earth-shattering event, and they've concluded that the eruption was so large that pressure waves reverberated around the globe for 6 whole days afterwards, and the huge plume of gases, water vapour and dust that it threw up into the atmosphere created hurricane-strength winds in outer space. Wow. The volcanic island of Krakatoa in Indonesia erupted way back in 1883, an eruption that was so big it's estimated to have claimed at least 30,000 lives. Thankfully, very few people died as a result of the Tonga volcanic eruption, despite it causing large tsunamis, which are powerful and often destructive tidal waves. I've stuck a link to video of the Tonga eruption as seen from space in today's episode notes. Want to know more about the how and why of volcanoes? We've done an excellent Squiz Kids shortcut on earthquakes and volcanoes, available to all Squiz Kids for schools or Apple subscribers. Check out the links to free trials in today's episode notes.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Michigan, in the United States, where a pair of scientists are making great steps forward in the science of pea cycling. What the what? You've heard of recycling, right? Well, this is pea cycling, where human wee is being used to fertilise plants. Yep, you heard right. A couple of scientists at the University of Michigan have been experimenting with human wee as a sort of liquid fertiliser to make plants grow faster and stronger. Stop giggling now, this is serious. Human urine has all sorts of nutrients in it, which, in the right concentration, can help plants grow. And making fertilisers from a renewable, earth-friendly source like human wee is more sustainable than many of the chemical fertilisers that are otherwise used. And no, that doesn't mean you can run out to the oval at lunchtime and pee on the nearest tree trunk. Honestly, people, a little bit of decorum, please.
Spaced out.
Speaking of growing plants, for the very first time, scientists have grown plants in dirt collected from the moon. The American researchers had no idea if anything would grow in the lunar soil, which was collected by astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who walked on the moon more than 50 years ago. But they were curious to find out if future astronauts might be able to grow their own food in space. Amazingly, tail cress seeds sprouted in every single soil sample. Tail cress is an edible flowering plant used by biologists in lots of scientific experiments because it's easy to observe changes in the plant. And they did notice that the moon dirt seedlings were a bit small and a little bit stunted. They think that's because the soil had spent millions of years exposed to the cosmic radiation and solar winds of the moon. Astronauts, they think, might be able to grow stronger, healthier plants if they were to plant seeds in the dirt from lunar lava flows, which is younger soil. They could also experiment with lighting and fertiliser to get things going. Maybe they could wee on it. Growing food on the moon. Imagine that.
Sport time.
Is there anything Aussie superstar soccer player Sam Kerr cannot do? The all-conquering striker was the toast of London yesterday after kicking 2 goals to help her team Chelsea win the Women's FA Cup final in England. Chelsea stormed home 3-2 against Manchester City in front of a 50,000-strong record crowd at Wembley Stadium, with Australia's Wonder Woman holding aloft the FA Cup trophy at the end of the game to the adoring cheers of Chelsea fans. It caps off a pretty impressive week for Samantha May Kerr, originally from Fremantle, after she kicked 2 goals a week ago in the Women's Super League final to also win that championship for her club Chelsea. Wowzers! And the best bit? How humble she is about it all. Sam said she was just so honoured to be part of the Chelsea team. Sam Kerr, we salute you.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. In 1883, the volcanic island of Krakatoa erupted, one of the largest recorded eruptions in history. In which country next to Australia is Krakatoa located? That's right, it's Indonesia. Question number 2. Scientists have managed to grow plants in dirt that was retrieved 50 years ago from what heavenly body that appears in our night sky? Yeah, that's right, it's the moon. Question number 3. Name the Aussie soccer star who slotted home 2 goals in the Women's FA Cup final. You got it, it's Sam Kerr.
Shout-outs.
It's May 17. On this day in history, 2 very important books were published. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 1900 and The Rules for Australian Football League, that's AFL's you and I, in 1859. I'll let you decide which one is more important. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Dakota from Murrumbarra, Zeki from Winthrop, Jaden from Abbotsford, and Max from Bonbeach. And classroom shout-outs today go to Class 5B at Maruka State School with Mrs. Bland, Grade 4 and Mrs. Lay at Mount Carmel School in Yass, Year 6 and Mrs. Brown at Thornley West Public School, and finally, a shout-out to Year 6 at Craigburn Primary School and belated birthday wishes to their teacher Ms. Fisher and classmate Rachel for yesterday. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you'll want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.